Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a very interesting discussion topic to share with you guys. One that was actually brought up by a gentleman named Hal. He emailed me and he said, here's an idea for a video. What if you lost all of your knives in a fire or theft or whatever, right? What if they were all gone and you had an opportunity to replace, let's say, 5 of them? Which 5 would you replace and why? And initially I thought, okay, well that's just like my top 5 favorite knives. But then I thought about it, right? What's laid out here is, these are all mine, and this is most of my collection. There's a few stragglers here and there that don't make sense for the video, and I've only got so much space, right? But I thought about it, and I was like, now wait a minute. No, it's technically not my 5 favorites, because I started to think about it, and I kept switching things around. I'm like, okay, since I'm second guessing this, obviously there's more to think about here, right? So what I decided to do was lay out a bunch of knives that have a purpose for my channel, whether they are, if you don't know, I review knives. I review lots and lots and lots of knives. I own a lot of knives. Some of them are part of my collection, right? Because I am a knife enthusiast and I'm kind of a knife hoarder / collector, right? I'm also somebody who uses knives, and considering I review knives, I have a lot of knives that I consider good, or that are good, they make sense to compare to other knives when I'm talking about them, so I keep them around. I've got a lot of knives for a lot of different reasons, right? So in this hypothetical nightmare circumstance, which if you are a knife person, in fact, if you collect anything, right? If you have, possessions of yours that mean a lot to you for a number of different reasons, obviously something like that, something catastrophic, wiping them from your possession, right? This is an awful thing. It's an awful thing to think about. I don't wish this on anybody. But I found that the answer might come as a surprise to some of you. I'd like to know what you guys think. Think about your own collections. If you've got collections of knives or whatever, let me know the 5 that you would replace down in the comments section. Many of the knives that are laid out here, you can actually find them at the retailers that I talk about at the beginning of the video. You can check out those retailers at the top of the description if you'd like to take a look at some of this stuff. Thanks to my generous patrons for supporting me right now. If you'd like to check out Patreon, there's a link in the description. And please follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to go through these one at a time and eliminate them and tell you exactly why they wouldn't be something that I would replace immediately. Now, let's make this fair and interesting. A lot of you guys who have followed my channel for a while know that my wife has gifted me a lot of knives. Actually, we've been married for a while. She gives me an anniversary gift every year. And there are knives laid out here that are anniversary gifts. And so, truthfully, without getting too far into this video, truthfully, 4 of the 5 knives that I'd keep are all the knives that she's given me for my anniversary. That includes the Microtech Combat Troodon Hellhound, or actually this was a Christmas present, if I'm being honest. The Spyderco Delica in titanium and Damascus was an anniversary gift, the most recent one actually. My first anniversary gift from her, which was the Lion Steel TRE in titanium. And then the final one was actually one of my most carried knives of all time, which is the Spyderco Para 3 Maximate. So, to make this interesting, right, truthfully, there'd be those 4 and one other item, right? Let's pretend that my wife didn't buy me gifts that are basically a permanent part of my collection. I would have to replace those. I just would. They would never be the original gift, right? They wouldn't be the original items, and that'd be a huge bummer. But I'd have to. Those are a permanent part of my my collection. They mean something to me beyond the fact that they're just a shiny item that brings me happiness because it's a shiny item, right? So let's do it with these, the ones that are left on the table. So we'll go through these one at a time here. First up, both of the Opinels are, I just don't care. I do not care about these Opinels. The Opinel number 8 and the Opinel number 9 here. One of them I bought just so I actually tried to give this knife away to my friend, and he was like, nah, why don't you keep it on the channel? I don't really want that. A lot of people love these knives. They're very inexpensive. They use the ring lock, right? And they have good cutting geometry. But as somebody who's an enthusiast, these bring me zero joy, right? I know there's going to be people going, oh my gosh, how can you say that about the Opinel? I don't like the Opinel, sorry. I could live without those completely, right? Let's see here. Moving on. I've got a lot of budget knives out here and a lot of really expensive knives, right? Let's go ahead and eliminate some other ones here. I'll actually do two at the same time. This is the Lightning OTF and the Lightning Elite OTF. And, you know, they're both awesome. This newer one seems to be a slight upgrade over the older one. These are inexpensive, 30 to 35 bucks. These are great, and they serve as great, you know, size comparisons for the channel. And you know, it's weird because I'm trying to do this as not from the perspective of somebody who's got a channel to run, right? From the perspective of somebody who's just, I'm left with nothing. Let's not even think about the channel and the stuff that I need for the channel, right? Just me personally, which ones I'd have to, you know, immediately replace. Neither of these. I mean, these are great, and I'll use them for, you know, little like things here and there. This is a great little kind of beater EDC OTF, right? Same with this guy. They're great, but again, it's just that there's nothing there. I don't have an emotional attachment to those things, right? Moving on here, I'll go ahead and eliminate the rat. I have this knife has been used probably harder and more often than any other knife on the table. I appreciate it as a tool, right? But again, you can see here, I mean, this thing it's been used as a hammer a couple of times. It doesn't have a tip anymore. This thing's been resharpened multiple times. It's great. No emotional attachment to it. It's something I could live without, right? Let's see. Moving on here, kind of doing these in order, I guess. Yeah, honestly, this would be one of the first ones one of the last ones I'd think about. The Gerber flat iron. This actually ended up being a better knife than I originally gave it credit for. The problem I have with this thing is that my version of it is in the 7CR 17 MOV, which is whatever. That's barely steel, right? It'll cut, you can sharpen it, it'll cut for a little bit, and then it'll go dull. I actually beat the crap out of this thing when we redid our roof. You can see actually the battle scars all over it. It held up. It didn't disengage this, despite having a little bit of lock rock, right? Which is something that bothers me. It's okay. Newer versions of this come in D2 and micarta. I'd prefer that. It's just not a knife that I have any emotional attachment to. Moving on here. What's the next one that I could probably live without? Probably the Tough Lite. Again, one that's absolutely been a user. I have no idea what's on this blade. A lot of roof stuff. This thing it needs to be sharpened. It hasn't been used for a while, but I mean, it's a great tool, honestly, and it's inexpensive. But again, as somebody coming from the perspective of a knife enthusiast, there's nothing there for me. Nothing at all. Next up, probably, I mean, we'll go through a few budget knives. We'll do a couple here at a time. The CJRB Rhea and the CJRB Feldspar. These are two of the most excellent budget knives that are out there. For somebody who's getting into the knife world, right, and you're looking for a good example of a functional knife that's going to last you well and has a lot of modern elements to it, but isn't going to break the bank, I'm talking about, what is this guy? 30 bucks, and this guy's 40 bucks, something in there, right? This is using, what's the steel on this guy? 12C27N, which is great. This guy's using D2. Both of them have excellent cutting geometries. They run on bearings, right? They're using G10. Nice materials for the money. Great, just great knives all the way around. I can't recommend these guys enough. These are excellent, but I've handled stuff that I love more for reasons beyond, I mean, there's a lot of things I can pick from this category, right? And, you know, truth be told, you know, the knives that I'm going to end up with are a lot more expensive, and it's not just because they're expensive, it's because they bring a certain level of joy that is just not present in some less expensive knives, right? The Civivi Praxis, again, I mean, I love this. I think this is one of the greatest budget knives of all time. This is my new one here because I gave away my old one. I love this. I have it around because it's a size comparison, well, not a size comparison knife, but it's a great comparison knife that I'm going to use to, you know, reference or use in reference when I'm talking about a lot of other budget knives. And I say, well, you know, the Praxis did it like this, the Praxis this, right? It's a knife that I want to use as that type of example. Same thing with the QSP Parrot. This one's the S35VN. Oh my gosh, is it Knife Joy? I can't remember, guys. There's an exclusive. You can get this for like 60 bucks, or you could. Blue Jeans micarta. It's an excellent everyday tool. And man, I mean, like the deal S35VN and micarta for 60 bucks. It's incredibly smooth, right? Nice geometry on the blade. Nice, I mean, like the blade shape is really, really good for just general EDC or outdoor tasks, whatever. It's great. Love it, but not enough to immediately want to replace it. Boker Kalashnikov. It's probably the best budget side-opening automatic knife in existence. In fact, I'd prefer this one versus a lot of stuff that I can get up to about where some of Kershaw's launch series knives are, and especially Pro. Like this doesn't hold a candle to a ProTech, right? It's neat that it's green, right? I bought it because I like green and I like the Kalashnikov, and I want it around because it's a good thing to compare to sometimes, but we need to keep it. Let's see here. Moving on. Yeah, I got to get rid of the Spyderco PM2. PM2 hangs around solely because it is one of the best size comparison knives in existence. Most people are familiar with the PM2. Whether you own it or not, you probably know what this knife is. That's why I use it as a size comparison, because so many people are familiar with it. It's also the knife that I use down here to open packages up off camera if it has nothing to do with an unboxing. This is a knife that I just used to just get it. I mean, it's great. The PM2 is great. It's one of the best EDC knives that exists, period. A lot more expensive at about 150 bucks now. The joy I used to have for the PM2 is lost, especially in contrast to a lot of other Spyderco knives and a lot of other knives in general, if I'm being honest here. Let's move some of these back around. People are already guessing, I'm sure. People are like, oh, I know what he's going to keep. Let's see here. Moving on. Which one am I going to get rid of next? Probably the MiniGrip Jillian. This was actually a knife that was created by somebody in my Discord, and everybody kind of, we have this Pickle Nights area of my Discord, and somebody actually had a Benchmade Grip Jillian custom made with a pickle laser engraved on it. It says Pickle Nights, and then it says Enablers Club, and there's a jar of pickles. Basically, if you've ever been a part of my live stream, that makes a lot more sense. I put some titanium scales on this guy and made it more preferable. It's a size comparison knife. The Benchmade MiniGrip Jillian is honestly too small for me, but a lot of people love this knife, so I use it as a size comparison knife because so many people are familiar with it. Moving on here, I'd probably have to eliminate next the Cold Steel SR1 Lite. This is probably the ultimate budget beater. This thing is a $60 tank of a knife. When somebody tells me they want a gigantic, robust blade that is near the same strength of a fixed blade, but really they need the convenience of it being a folding knife. This is using the Triad lock, and it is 185 to 190 thousandths on the spine. Nothing special. Injection mold plastic of some sort, and HCR 13 MOV steel. If I needed something that was basically just to take with me and maybe do knife stuff, but maybe do a whole bunch of other things, like be a hammer, be a tiny axe, right? Be a pry bar, right? Even though it's really not made to do that stuff, it probably will handle it better than, you know, a lot of stuff that was on the table. Yeah. But this is still a tool. The knife enthusiast in me appreciates it for the fact that it is a budget, overbuilt monster of a knife. You can get this in budget form, and there's a more expensive form in S35VN and G10, right? But no real emotional attachment to that thing. The Benchmade Grip Jillian, or in this case the Ritter Hogue, much more of an attachment to this guy. This is a size comparison knife for two reasons. Number one, it's very similar to the full-size Benchmade Grip Jillian. In fact, it is almost identical. But it's a very recommendable, or it's a very recognizable knife, and an extremely recommendable knife. 160 bucks. This is a Knifeworks exclusive. M390 and G10. I think these come in at about 160 bucks. It's one of the best value American-made production knives that's out there. I like it, but my emotional attachment to this thing is, it's gone. I use this periodically. I'll grab it, right? But this isn't a knife that I pull out of my pocket and just hold and just, oh man, I love that. Like, I love this. It's great. Cutting geometry is great. The look of it's great. I love the texturing, but the enthusiast in me that's come to look for certain things, right? Or whatever part of me used to appreciate this knife a lot. It hangs around not because I'm just in awe over it anymore, right? I was when I got it because of the value, right? Still love this, still extremely recommendable. It's just not a knife that I'm going to replace immediately if something crazy happened. Oh, God. Oh, I forgot my wife also got me the SOCOM Elite. This was also a gift from my wife. Ew. This is tough. This is tough. Oh, hang on a sec. I got to bring one back. So, pretending that I had purchased these two. I'm cheating. Why am I cheating? Because this is my channel and I'm going to do what I want. Oh, man. I'm pretending here for a second that... And here's the reason, if you're still with me at this point. I wanted to do this organically, to eliminate things one at a time as if I was actually having to do this, to go back over everything that I owned, right? And also pretending that my wife did not get me some of these gifts, right? So I'm trying to take the whole, my wife got me these things out of the equation. Okay, holy cow, this is getting tough here. The next knife that I'm going to eliminate, it's going to be probably the Mini Crooked River. I am still very emotionally attached to this. This was a gift from my buddy Shaker. He had this built for me on the custom shop with my channel colors, black, blue, and satin and 20CV. Every time I EDC this, I do get this thing out and go, God, I love this thing. It's so beautiful, and it's such a great EDC. This is very, very recommendable. These are expensive. Base form coming in at about 190 bucks. And custom shop, you're going to pay more. This is probably 230, 240, maybe $250 in the custom shop. But, oh boy, very, very good knife. Next up, what am I going to... This is tough. This is tough. I knew that it was... This is why I did this. Because I knew it was going to get tough if I didn't think about it. If I just went with my gut instinct on camera. What am I going to get rid of? Honestly, guys, I got to get rid of a hinderer. I have to get rid of a hinderer. Now, even though these have custom... Well, not custom, but they've got the scales I had to buy separately. They're still hinderer scales. I'm going to get rid of... the workhorse. Truthfully, I'm only going to replace one hinderer because I want some variety. I know you guys think you're like one of the biggest hinderer nuts on YouTube. Oh, thanks. Gosh, so kind of you to say. Speaking for you guys from your perspective, assuming your perspective, right? All I did there was tell everybody that I think that I'm one of the biggest hinderer nuts on YouTube. Wow, cringe. Anyways, I'm going to not go with this guy. Assuming that the scales have to be part of the item, right? I'm more attached to that scale there, so I'd probably have to get rid of this guy. Oh God. Next up, what am I gonna let go of here? Probably the SNG titanium. This is a very special knife. There were only 40 of these. This is number 2 of 40. This was gifted to me by my good friend Jeff Goodnow, which is somebody that a lot of you are probably familiar with, especially if you've been around since the early days. Jeff just gave this to me. This is a $500 titanium automatic SNG. Right, SNG being originally designed by Mick Strider, and then he collaborated with ProTech. They still make this knife, but not in this form. They make a lot of different, little sprint runs and things of it, but this titanium one is very special to me because it's very rare to find a titanium automatic knife in the knife world. And, boy, that'd be a hard one to not replace. But I don't know how I'd replace it. You can't get it anymore, right? I'd certainly want to. Next up, what am I going to get rid of here? Probably the SOCOM Elite. I love this knife, and I EDC it. This was a gift from my wife. And it is incredibly well balanced for how big it is. 187 thousandths on the spine, right? Incredibly smooth. Probably the smoothest manual folding knife from Microtech. M390. This one's from 2018. This is the first of the more recent runs. These are hard to get right now. Manual versions of these knives. Really awesome. God, this is good. I'd have to let that one go. So what are we down to? This is tough, man, because what we're essentially left with here are Excalibur variants of knives and the OTF. So here's what we've got left. We've got the Microtech Combat Troodon Hellhound, which is a signature series hand ground blade. That's a gift from my wife. We have a Hinderer XM18 3.5-inch Gen 6 Spanto in some gunk right there. Oh, we can't have that. Can't have that on camera. Some sort of thing lodged it. Anyways, S45 VN Spanto Gen 6, and it has my King Crowner textured titanium scale on it, which has been a part of the channel for a long time. This is a original unmilled scale. The newer ones are all going to be milled. I've kept that one specifically for that. My XM24 Dark Horse. I call this the Dark Horse because it is a tri-way Spanto that it's much larger than the XM18, but it has the dark stonewashed finish. Now, this is different from DLC or Battle Black. This is the reflective finish. Not a lot has come out here lately in the dark stonewashed finish, and I don't know, honestly, if that finish is discontinued. I've outfitted it with all black hardware and a black carbon fiber textured scale. It's kind of hard to tell that this is carbon fiber. Come on, camera. But up close, I think you guys can kind of see it in there. This is actually a carbon fiber scale. I have a lot of love for this thing. This is not an easy knife to find. An XM24, you can find them, but a black stonewash Spanto, I knew that was rare when I picked that up from Scott Whittington. He got a random one in at a random time, posted on Instagram, and I called him and I said, I want that. I'm buying it. Next up, a recent purchase. This is the Strider AR75 or AR.75 or 3/4 AR. It's actually built by Medford. It's kind of an awkward, clunky guy, but it has a lot of elements that I appreciate, and I have honestly wanted to get my hands on that for a long time. Technically the closest to my description of Excalibur on this channel. What is Excalibur? Excalibur is a term that I use to describe the ideal folding knife for me. I have a lot of different elements that I look for in a knife. I've talked about it actually extensively on a series called Quest for the Perfect Folding Knife, which you can check out in my playlists. I actually had to wait for Flytanium to make titanium scales on this guy because I love the Shaman so much. I thought if I could get some titanium scales on that guy, have them textured, which I haven't done yet, maybe change the pocket clip up, and ultimately get a different blade steel, which I eventually will, it would be the ultimate folding knife. Hasn't quite achieved that yet, but that'd be a really hard one to not replace, right? And the knife that I've actually referred to as the King Blade here recently because this knife brings me more joy than any knife that I've ever owned. Even over the thing that is actually what I consider to be Excalibur. This is not an easy knife to get. This has the new Shark Lock. Very expensive. This is a $625 knife. Base version of the MG8020 from Andrew Demko. Andrew and John Demko is $425. This has got the textured titanium scales on it. Shark Lock. Extremely fidgety, extremely satisfying, very thick blade stock, everything. I just love this knife. I'll tell you which knives are safe. This knife is safe. Absolutely. I think an XM18 with the textured titanium scale is also going to be safe. It's just going to be the case. I might get a different XM18, but that titanium scale is what's making that guy safe. Next up, the Shaman is also safe. These guys are going to be replaced. The Dark Horse is also going to get replaced. I don't know how I'd replace it, but I would do everything that I possibly could. I have too much love for that thing, and I still am trying to fulfill my dream of having a full titanium XM24. Please, Rick, make XM24 scales out of titanium, please, for the love of God. Even if I don't get one that matches the dark stonewash finish, I'll buy one. I just have to. So what does it come down to between these two? Sorry about that. Had to cut the video because apparently I've reached maximum file size. So anyways, the knife that I'm going to have to let go from the idea of replacing is probably the Strider AR. I love this and I'd really want to replace it, but I have this weird thing with OTFs, guys. I just really want to have a Combat Troodon specifically in my collection. I'd have to replace it. It just brings me joy. These are the knives, not considering, number one, that I have a YouTube channel to run, and number two, that my wife has actually gifted me a lot of stuff. Because like I said at the beginning, I'd automatically have to replace the knives that my wife gave me. But one of those is in here. If she hadn't got it for me, it'd be this one. Yeah. These are the ones. These are the 5 that I would be replacing. And if you just fast forwarded to this point in the video, hi, welcome to the end of the video. Yeah, the Combat Troodon Hellhound, the XM24 Dark Horse in black stonewashed, the Spyderco Shaman, the XM18 3.5 inch specifically because it's got the textured titanium scale. The knife that's the most safe by quite a ways is, well, I don't say quite a ways. These two right here. If it came down to 2, right, it'd have to be these two. If it came down to 1, no, I can't answer that. I can't. I love those two knives so much, right? These are the 5. These are probably the 5, I don't know, they probably define my channel the most, right? I mean, like that, these knives have, a few of these have been around for so long. But yeah, these are definitely the 5 that I would have to replace. And it was interesting. I mean, I kind of could have predicted this, but my initial thought was, well, I'm going to keep all my hinderers, and I'm going to keep my Demco, and then what's the other one? And then there was a bunch of other things. So the truth is I actually ended up eliminating a hinderer, and you know, then the other 2 hinderers were accurate. So there, I mean, it was weird, like thinking about those other 2 or 3 knives. What am I going to keep? And then I was thinking, am I actually going to keep just one hinderer? I can't just keep one hinderer. I need a medium and a large one, or a large and an extra large one, right? So, whether you predicted this or not, right, here they are. Like I said, I'd like to hear what you guys would keep out of your collection. If you only have 5 knives, you have less than 5 knives, okay, right? If you've got more than that, I'd like to hear what you guys would keep out of your own collection. So let me know right down in the comment section. Like I said, many of the knives that you saw in this video, you can absolutely find at the retailers that I link right at the top of the description of this video. So feel free to check those out, look around. I think I named everything so you guys can figure out what they are. But anyways, guys, this was fun. This was a really fun topic. Thanks again to the gentleman who suggested it. Please follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.